I'll never forget the day I pulled into my driveway to see a black government SUV parked outside my house. My heart dropped when I spotted two men in dark uniforms walking up to my front door. With stern expressions, I rushed inside to find Maria, our nanny of 5 years, huddled in the corner of our living room with my two children clinging to her. Her face was pale and she was trembling. My 6-year-old son, Jake, was crying, and my 4-year-old daughter, Emma, looked terrified. "What's happening?" I asked, my voice breaking with panic. "Immigration and customs enforcement," Maria whispered, her voice quivering. "They say someone reported me as being illegal." Through the window, I caught sight of Deborah Wilson, or Karen, as all the neighbors called her, standing across the street with her arms crossed, a self-satisfied smirk spreading across her face as she watched the scene unfold. That's when I knew exactly what had happened. The Homeowners Association president had finally gone too far. Maria Gonzalez had been our nanny since Jake was a baby. She was practically family at this point, joining us for holidays, birthdays, and becoming the most trusted person in our children's lives outside of me. And my wife Maria was born in Mexico, but had been a proud American citizen for over 15 years. She had all the proper documentation, paid her taxes, and even volunteered at the local church on weekends. Her accent was the only thing that gave away that English wasn't her first language. From the moment we moved into Silver Oaks Estates 2 years ago, Karen had made it clear that she didn't approve of Maria. She headed the HOA with an iron fist and seemed to think this gave her authority over every aspect of our lives. "We have standards in this neighborhood," she'd say, whenever Maria was around her eyes, narrowing suspiciously. The comments started small. "Your help speaks English quite well for someone like her," Karen remarked one day while I was getting the mail. Another time she cornered my wife in the grocery store. "Don't you worry about having someone so foreign around your children all day." My wife had politely but firmly ended that conversation, but Karen was undeterred. Karen's obsession with keeping our neighborhood clean and safe had crossed lines before she'd issued citations to the Rodriguez family for having too many cars when relatives visited for a weekend. She'd called the police on Mr. Kim's birthday party for excessive noise at 7 p.m. on a Saturday. But targeting Maria felt personal, and as I stood there watching immigration agents questioning our beloved nanny in our own living room, something inside me snapped. The initial questioning didn't last long. Maria calmly produced her U.S. passport, Social Security card, and driver's license from her purse. The agents were professional, but seemed confused about why they were even there. After verifying her documentation, they apologized for the disturbance. As they were leaving, I followed them outside. "Can you tell me who filed this report?" I asked one of the agents quietly. He hesitated, then spoke in a low voice. "Sir, I can't give you specific details, but I will say the tip came from a woman who gave her name as Deborah Wilson. She claimed to have evidence that your nanny was working illegally." He glanced across the street where Karen was still watching, now pretending to trim her already immaculate hedges. "False reports waste our resources and can constitute harassment." Just so you know, I thanked him and went back inside, my blood boiling, but my mind clear. This had to stop, and I needed to be smart about it. That night, after putting the kids to bed, my wife and I sat down with Maria, who was still shaken by the ordeal. "I've done nothing wrong," she said, tears in her eyes. "Why does she hate me so much? This isn't about you, Maria," my wife assured her. "This is about Karen's prejudice and her need to control everything around her, but we're going to put an end to it." The next day, I started gathering evidence. It turned out Karen had been busy. Over the following week, I learned she had been taking photos of Maria coming and going from our house. She'd been questioning our neighbors about her. Worst of all, she had sent someone posing as a city utilities worker to our door when only Maria was home, asking suspicious questions about her immigration status and trying to get inside the house. A few neighbors confided that Karen had done similar things before. The Patel family's housekeeper had quit after repeated harassment. The landscapers, who maintained several properties, had been reported to police for suspicious behavior, meaning speaking Spanish to each other while working. Karen had a pattern, and now we had witnesses willing to speak up. Things escalated when Karen confronted Maria directly at our community playground. I had just arrived to pick up the kids when I saw Karen backing Maria against the fence, demanding to see her papers. While my children watched in confusion, I recorded the entire exchange on my phone as Karen ranted about illegals taking American jobs and threatened to have her deported. Maria remained composed, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. That video was the turning point. I posted it on our neighborhood social media group with a detailed account of Karen's harassment campaign. The response was overwhelming. Dozens of neighbors came forward with their own stories. Karen had terrorized the community for years, but everyone had been too intimidated to stand up to her. Now, with safety in numbers, people were finally speaking out. Karen, of course, denied everything. At an emergency HOA meeting, she called to address the false accusations. She claimed she was just doing her duty to protect property values, but her defense crumbled when 3 different neighbors played recordings of her making racist comments about various community members. The most damning evidence came from her former HOA vice president, who had saved emails where Karen explicitly discussed targeting suspicious-looking household staff in the neighborhood. With a solid case built, we took everything to the authorities: the recordings, the witness statements, the pattern of harassment, and the false report to immigration officials. 2 days later, I was pulling into my driveway when I saw a police cruiser parked outside the HOA office. Officers were escorting Karen out in handcuffs while she protested loudly enough for the whole neighborhood to hear, "This is ridiculous. I was protecting our community." "You can't arrest me for doing my job," she shouted, as they placed her in the back of the patrol car. In her hand was a folder that fell open, revealing surveillance photos of various neighborhood workers, including several of Maria with my children. The charges against Karen were significant: filing a false report, harassment, and misuse of emergency services. At her arraignment, she maintained her innocence, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge was particularly troubled by the pattern of targeting people based on their ethnicity. Karen's face turned ashen when the verdict came guilty on all counts. The sentence was announced in a packed courtroom: 6 months in county jail, a $5,000 fine, and 3 years of probation, during which she was barred from serving on any community board or HOA. As the reality of the situation sank in, Karen's composure finally broke. "But I was right to be suspicious," she wailed as the BIF led her away. She didn't look American. The final blow to Karen's reputation came when local news covered the story. During their investigation, they uncovered that Karen's husband's construction company had been fined just 3 years earlier for employing undocumented workers. The hypocrisy was staggering, and her husband's embarrassed expression as he paid her bail told us their home life wouldn't be pleasant once she was released.